It's another edition of Comics Cast Let It Out on a crisp November 6th. Fall weather is in the air. Yeah, we're winding down the year. And but that doesn't mean that we don't have a shortage of really talented guests for Let It Out. Today is no exception. But before I talk about that particular individual, if you're new to Comics Cast, if you're new to Let It Out, just want to let you know who we are, what we're about. Comics Cast is all about the indie creator. So if you're in the indie comic community, you're a creator. If you're a penciler, a storyteller, author, publisher, inker, you name it. If you're in the indie comic community, we want you on with us because we're all about promoting you, and that's what Let It Out is about. That's where we have this show where we do a more intimate connection, where we definitely talk up our guests' creative journeys and get to hear their story. And if they have any crowdfunding things, we just want to get more eyes on that as well. Get them some followers, some likes. Today we have a very special guest, somebody that I guess I was looking in our chat. I've been trying to get him on the show, I think, since June. His name is Mr. Christian Zaffo, and love his artwork, and I think you're gonna love it too. Been drawing since I think he was like in grade school. Has a fantastic story in terms of like what he's doing and capitalizing basically on what's the indie comic movement that's going on right now. He has a crowdfunding campaign that's going on, and it's going to be my honor, it's going to be my pleasure to talk about his creative journey and his project. So that being said, let's get the show started. Here we go. Hello, Christian. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Say hi to
Good.
everybody for me.
Hey, everybody.
Alrighty. So to get things, we're gonna get this thing kicked off. But before I do that, if you want to go to the comments section, I'm gonna put some of Christian's contact information, and I'm gonna post it, make it show that right now. So if you look here below, you can follow Christian on Facebook. You can also go to his website, and I believe that you have a different name for it. I know that's a weird looking link. It's the Chosen One Creations website, and that's where it's Foresight One. You can see that .com. So it's Foresight One, number one with one.com, and he's also on Twitter at ZaffArt1. So don't go there right now. I want you guys to know that it's going to be in the comment field, at the top of the comment field. So you can always go check that out a little later. We will pop that up as well, so you will know how to like, follow, subscribe, and actually support, because he has a Kickstarter that's going on right now. So let me, I'll leave this up for a little bit right now. Let's go right into the show, Christian, and kick it off with what we call the first part, which is the origin story, because we got to keep it comic book related. so I want to hear about your origin story. You're not the villain, you're the hero here. So tell us all about your creative journey here. And while you do that, I'm going to pull up some art that you sent to me, and we'll do that as a little bit of visual aid to support your origin story. So the mic is in your hands. Tell us everything about you.
Thank you. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. My father was an artist, and my grandfather actually when he came over here. When I was 6 years old, I remember drawing was I would take portraits, and I would sit down and try drawing them, and I just from seeing him do it all the time. It carried on from there. I was about 13. I discovered comics at a local newsstand. One of my first comics that I remember, X-Men 187.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I also picked up like G.I. Joe, so I remember picking those up. And the art, I was young still. It was an easy read as well on Saturdays, and it just gravitated towards, and what I saw in the comics. Years go by, get into, and I met a friend of mine, an artist, but he already seemed to know what characters and everything, and I started drawing with him, and we draw together. You know, that's where the love of comic book artwork came from. And as we went to college, same colleges, try and have done our art and everything. Marvel and DC. When the '90s movie came around, and you had Valiant, all these highly stylized characters that were new. They weren't Batman, Superman. They were new, and so it was kind of gave us more of a idea that we could break into this business, and it obviously didn't work out back then, but it's something, life takes over, and
Exactly.
taking care of things. So art and drawing, I got into tattoo designs on the side. Some business logos. I even tried to go the way of my father. Some people wanted a few of those. And I was really thinking of years later after house, and then got married. COVID hit, and but I really would like to do something. That I'm getting older. I'd really like characters that I could create, because I started going through all this stuff that I had from when I was 10. It got nostalgic for the drawing. It reignited it a little bit for me. But COVID was like, and just something just clicked. This is what I'm going to do. I see, if you haven't already looked at the campaign, I half-heartedly. I actually think but I really wanted to do it the right creations out there, the right way, this universe that they're and that's pretty much where we Kickstarter ever.
Yeah, let me stop you right there, because we don't want to go too far into the Kickstarter. We definitely want to address that part of it, but we're going to save that as a coming soon top secret thing that we're going to show later on to encourage our audience to stick around. I just heard from one of our audience who's from Aurelis, who's one of our audience. I wouldn't call her a groupie, but she's definitely somebody who supports Comics Cast. She said there's a lot of echo. I'm not sure. Are you hearing echo, Christian, on your end? Because I noticed while listening to you, audio kind of dropped out a little bit. Are you hearing any echo?
Is it me that's echoing?
Aurelis, are you hearing echo from me, or are you hearing echo from Christian? I'll give her a chance to respond here, but let me see if I can. I heard bits and pieces of it, and hopefully, your audio quality will improve. I'm not sure exactly what's causing some of the distortion here. But before we get talking about the Kickstarter, because obviously we're going to do that a little later on, let's talk a little bit more about your creative journey. You definitely have the pedigree there. You mentioned your dad and your grandfather were both artists, and so I definitely think that it's in the genes in terms of you being a great artist. And I've been showing some of the artwork here. Let's talk a little bit about your influences. Do you have a moment to talk about some of the? Because I actually looked at your artwork and I immediately had some artists that came to my mind. But let's hear it from you in terms of who are some of the artists you mentioned, like in the '80s and 90s, things that as a kid, how you were influenced. Then, of course, as you got older in the 90s and you saw that stylized art. Can you name a few of your influences?
I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, let's think about your top five. How about that?
My top two right now, I feel are on my style is Sears. Um, oh, the anatomy I do out of the way their shading style, their ranking style, that they use, and I try to keep because it's something I like, and I look at it and I'm like,
Oh man,
top two.
I hate to like interrupt you, Christian, but now your audio. I just heard from Aurelis, and the echo is coming from your end. Um, let's just so we can. I don't want you to have to repeat yourself. Yeah, well, let's do something. Leave your art cam fine the way it is. I'm going to ask you if you could, just so maybe we can improve this. Could you log out and then log back in with the link on your face cam, and let's see if the audio will improve. And we'll wait right here for you to come right back in. So go ahead and log out and log back in, and with that link that I sent you. Yep. So I apologize to our guests. We're going to try and work through this audio echoing issue. He'll be back right in a moment. Aurelis, thank you for letting me know about the audio issues. I wasn't sure if it was something that maybe I just heard on my end, but apparently it's going through the stream itself. So give me a moment here, and we'll get Christian back. But while we're waiting, I just wanted to showcase some of his artwork. Oh, there he is. He's back. Let's get him back here. All right, Christian, can you say a few words? Let's see if the audio's gotten better.
Yeah, how does it sound now?
It's a little bit better. But let's just keep on going. Let's see if the audio will improve. So you were talking about your top five. I heard Bart Sears. Did you talk about anybody else that we might have dropped out on before you get to the next few?
Andy Smith as well, who has a similar.
Andy Smith.
Yeah, I hear, but there's of the side because I hear myself after I speak.
Oh, okay. There's something. I'm not sure if your mic is catching your audio coming through your computer. I don't know if your phone is capturing it or something else, but that's probably what it's doing. Is it's canceling out each other, and that's what's causing the audio.
If I log out of the phone now and then log.
Okay, let me turn off I'm gonna log the phone out and let's see if we can if it'll make the audio better. So let me kick that out and we'll just reattach it when we get to the live drawing. All right, so I took your art cam out in the background. Go ahead and say a few words and see if the audio improved.
Yeah, I don't. On my side.
Okay, yeah. Did you say anything? I didn't hear anything. Say testing 1 2 3.
You didn't hear.
I'm hearing every other word. Oh my.
Oh, that's not any better then.
Yeah, can you do me a favor and go to that little gear icon at the bottom and make sure that your audio input is set to your iMac. And I don't know if there's any other options there. I don't know if you have any other mics. When you click on it, see if there is
one.
Okay, there's only one. Okay. Yeah, somebody said that there's a Facebook user here who's anonymous. It says, let's see, is he on Discord? That is a connection issue. I have the same issues. So you're not are you sharing this through a Discord or anything like that on your end? You're
not.
Okay. Huh. I apologize to you, Christian, as well as our audience. I'm not sure what's causing. Yeah, go ahead and say testing 1 2 3 a few times.
Testing 1 2 3.
Okay, yeah,
Testing
that
1.
sounds better. Okay, Aurelius
That's
and
good.
anonymous Facebook user, can you verify that Christian sounds okay? Christian, go ahead and say testing 1 2 3 a few times.
Testing 1 2 3.
Okay, so for me, you're still dropping out every other word. Um, so I don't know what's causing this problem. Let's see.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, let me. I'm checking my settings to see if anything on my end might be causing it as well. Um, yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. The in our audience, there's a Facebook user, anonymous Facebook user that's saying it's dropping out still. Um, let me see what else we can do. Um, okay. Let's see. Christian, when you actually logged all the way
Yeah,
out, and
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else we can do.
I'm gonna try it
um,
again since you disconnected.
yeah, let's have you. I hate to have to do this because it's kind of like the most extreme circumstance here. I'm gonna ask you to log out and do a quick reboot, and then launch your chat, and then click back in, because I'm not sure exactly what's causing it, but I would hate for people not to hear your story. So I'm just gonna show your art while I'm waiting. So go ahead and reboot your machine and come back in. All right. So again, I apologize, Aurelius and anonymous Facebook user. Thank you for helping me out. Aurelius, you mentioned, is he connected by phone and computer audio together? He is connected via his computer for his face cam, and his art cam is activated, but it's his phone. But I removed that from the equation, so because I was thinking that maybe there's some audio cross feedback between his phone and his computer. But when I removed it from the stream, it didn't improve. So hopefully the reboot will fix everything. So here I am by myself. I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about his art, because we're gonna wait for him to get right back in. But you can see from here, he is a student well, he's a fusion of a student from the 80s and the 90s. He has a nice like 80s vibe with a 90s aesthetic to it. Very, very cool art. I can't wait till I get him back on here so we can talk a little bit more about that. But he did mention that his art influences being Bart Sears. I don't know if any of you are fans of Bart Sears, but during the 90s, there was a comic magazine called Wizard, and there were these art tutorial sections in there, and Bart Sears was a frequent in there. And basically, you see the same stylized anatomy that Bart Sears did, and obviously influenced Christian. So very cool stuff here. He does have a Kickstarter, and I don't want to go into that because we want to save that for a little later. Yes, I see you here. Oh wait, I have another comment here from that I wish I knew who this anonymous Facebook user is. It says one of the major issues you may be facing is that he yet really has to have a dedicated line in using wireless, because I had issues by using wireless connection over a landline. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. Is that it's always better to have a hard line to the internet, because Wi-Fi can be kind of spotty. But we did a little pre-show yesterday, and we did have some technical issues at the very beginning, but we thought we ironed that out. And it's so funny that, or not really funny, but it's just odd that those audio issues that we had yesterday, they cropped up again. And we're gonna try and work through it. Oh, Christian's back. Let's get him back in here. All right, Christian, say a few words. Hopefully, say if you could say testing one
Hey,
two three a few
how you doing?
times.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing.
Oh, okay, the audio is still unfortunately dropping out, but you know what? We're just gonna fight through this and see if the audio will improve as we go through the show. So to pick up where you left off, you mentioned I think it was Andy Smith was another one of your influences. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and pick up right there in terms of your you have a special relationship with Andy in terms of like you being friends. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Um, I wouldn't exactly say friends. We're and stuff like that. Um, as far as helped me with some stuff, and as far as the campaign and did a cover as
Yes.
well. Um, and, and so um, was it the professional streaming? Reached out to a bunch of them. There's I think there's six, got four of them along with Bart Sears, who from them um, uh, made artwork in one of their characters each to be available
Oh,
on the Kickstarter as well.
okay. You're I'm actually hearing every other word, and then we're also getting some people in our audience are saying that they're hearing like feedback, like they're hearing your voice 3 times. So
Oh
I think
wow!
I'm not sure. Okay, there's another thing that we might do. Yeah, he's the user says maybe your phone is picking it up, but I removed the phone from the stream, so I don't think that's going to be causing that. Um, let's do go ahead and
It's
just
not
turn
on.
off your phone. Oh, it's not on. Okay, so that's fine.
It's not on.
Um, okay, there was another recommendation. Remember yesterday you had that headset? I don't want to
Yeah, I
go.
can try.
I don't
You can
want to
try
have to like.
that.
Yeah, let's try that. And
All right,
and
give me a
then
second.
when you plug it in, you should have another audio source. All right, so anonymous Facebook user, thank you for the recommendations. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we're having here, but hopefully we'll work through it. He's going to get his headset, and maybe that will fix everything. That'll cut down on any potential ambient audio that might be like causing him to echo or any of that feedback. Or for me, I'm not getting echo. I'm actually getting audio dropout where I only hear like every other word that he says. So bear with us. I apologize yet again. All right, I'm gonna keep on cycling through some of this R work here. Yeah, very clean lines, nice attention to anatomy, very stylized, um, so cool. And we're gonna talk a little bit about some of these duo where there's two characters in an image. There's something really cool about these that we'll let Christian talk about. All right, so Christian is back. He's getting his headphones plugged in.
Asking me.
Okay, we'll give him a moment here to get situated.
Can you hear me through this?
Yeah, I can hear you. So what I would like you to do is go to the little gear icon and make sure that your audio input is your headphones, and make sure your output is, I don't know if your headphones have your earbuds have a mic in them, but if you want to select that as your mic and make sure those are set up, maybe your and hopefully your audio will improve. And once you have those settings put in, just go ahead and say testing 1 2 3, and let's hope that will solve everything.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're a little muffled, but there's no lag. So keep on saying testing 1 2 3 consistently, and let's see if that makes a difference.
Testing 1 2 3.
Okay, yeah, the audio is a little muffled, but I can hear you a little better. Can you hear me okay? Is there any echoing? Are you hearing me okay, Christian?
Fine. Can you hear me any better now?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay, all right. So we'll work through this because I don't know how it's going to be when you have to move to your drawing board, because unless there's like really long cables on your earbuds or your earphones, yeah. But we'll worry about that a little later. Let's go ahead and get back to the conversation we were having a little earlier. Um, you mentioned Andy Smith, right? So if you could
Yeah.
continue what you were saying about your relationship with him.
Well, so again, I've seen over the years in his career as far as time and everything, and I would see them at times, obviously at the time, or but anyway, a while back, Facebook friends reached out to him about doing a cover, and from that point on, with him, he gave me some pointers because he also moved over to Indiegogo, and he there. They're guys calling themselves the professionals. They all have independent. I think like once a week. Out to most of them, he has a bunch of names for Art Tiber, Nolan, just so I reached out to a bunch of them, and I got what I did was I did one of their characters and one of my characters. I did it specific, so that's one of the things that I'm offering. Yeah, those are some of them right there.
Yeah. This is what I was kind of telling our audience about these particular illustrations where you kind of partnered up with these talented artists to like do interpretations of their characters paired with characters from your universe. And what I wanted to tell people about your particular origin story is that I kind of likened it to like Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane came up with Spawn back, I think, when he was in high school, and you had a similar story in terms of like you even showed me this big portfolio binder of all these like characters and creations that you had done in your formulative, high school and middle school days, and you kept that. And so your characters that you have in your current C.O.U. universe, the Chosen One universe, are characters that you developed in your youth. And I think that's really cool is that you were able to tap into this creativity that you had back when you were younger, and now it's sort of like no time like the present to actually call upon these creative or these creations and actually bring them to light in your new comic book. And so these are some of those characters and some of these things. And this is a really cool thing that you showed me before, which talks about or illustrates your process. Everything from the thumbnail to loose pencils to tighter pencils to even tighter pencils with some really cool rendering. And then we have inks, and then the final colored piece. And I like how you were able to fuse, to do not only an interpretation, in this case, of a Bart Sears character with your character, but you were able to, these backgrounds. You mentioned how it has, like, a fine art vibe to it with Alphonse Mucha. So you were able to weave that in there as well.
Yeah, I've always been a fan and stuff that I've seen, and just the little things going on in the background. I just always thought it was really, really cool. So if maybe doing a crossover with theirs in mind. Um, it kind of unify it, but not piece. Have them all be their own, the similar designs.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice how you can actually do a tribute to artists that aren't even comic related, Alphonse Mucha, because I think Adam Hughes has done that.
Yeah.
I think Joe Madeira had done that. Not Joe Madeira. It was Joe Quesada had done things where they've kind of like all of us, I think, who are students of art history are fans of Alphonse Mucha. So I think it's really cool that even what you were able to do in terms of weave that into the illustrations. Actually, do your spin on it too. It's not like 100% like Mucha. This is actually the Christian Zaffo version of Alphonse Mucha, and I think that that's really neat that you're able to put your own take on it, your own style added to it. But I was telling everybody, when you were working on your audio and we were trying to get through things, I was going through some of your artwork, and I see a lot of influences in here too. The Bart Sears, obviously, and then we had talked about Art Adams, how there's some Art Adams vibes to it. There's a little bit of Ron Lim, just really really cool things in here. And like I said, this was the foundation. This is where you developed your style, and then we're getting a chance to see that in the characters that you created. So I'm gonna keep on cycling through here, and let's get to. You can see that I want our audiences to talk about is like there's an 80s vibe, but there's a 90s stylized aesthetic. It's like you've perfectly fused those things together, and that is the Christian art style here. Very clean, lots of detail, and you don't go into that like hyper realism. It's a comic stylization, but it translates really really well. Yeah, and I don't know if the audio dropped out. Who are the artists? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to can you name the artists that you did these collaborations with? You mentioned Bart Sears, Dan Fraga. Yeah.
It's up right now. That's the new in the back, and that's Graham Nolan. He had a Kickstarter for Nolan Verse. He's got a bunch of different. You showed it earlier. Black Flag, the character, like this, the main character.
Yes. And while I have you, there's a question that came in from the audience here, and maybe you can answer it real quickly here. So let me show it. So the question is, and this is from the anonymous Facebook user. I don't know if this is the same person that helped us out earlier in terms of suggestions, but the question is, how was the transition from traditional drawing to a digital format? The art easier to make in the modern tool set? I don't. Can you interpret that? How was your transition?
So I'll pencil to paper over.
Yes.
However, for working on the Kickstarter and everything, freelance, it's a lot easier now by far. In Photoshop and Illustrator, we're back out in the early 90s, and there were, drawing tools. You had to do everything with them. That was a lot harder and preferred by any means back then. But now, work on an iPad, and it's as close as you could probably get, at least drawing on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier. Now it's just basically that's where they are located, and it's a lot of learning. But once I got easier now, it wasn't a learning curve.
Yeah, and I had to I want to like of course, Christian, you can correct me. I want to say that you are not like going completely digital, even though that you've learned how to use the digital medium, for coloring and using the iPad. You are basically a fusion artist where you both do traditional and digital, and you use the digital for its strengths, and you do the traditional, for its strengths. You found ways to just use both mediums to create your best art. That's correct, right?
I, yeah, I'm uh, for one piece. Like, it's probably never the same from one page to I'm all over the place. It's that before the finished product. Uh, I'll do a loose sketch, then I'll scan it, program, I'll print it out, I'll light bulb program. I mean, it's forms before it's finished. Uh, so, oh yeah, and
Yeah, it
I feel
doesn't
like
get any more layered than that.
no,
Where.
no.
Uh-huh.
If I'm in a digital mood, I'll the whole thing on the iPad. If I started with anything on a 11 by 7 and I like the way it's going there, then it's finished. And then sometimes I go back.
Yeah, and there is another comment here. I just want to read it to you. Um, says here, this is from another Facebook anonymous user. I love coming up with characters, but lack the skills to illustrate them in a drawn form. I think this is a good I think this is a good time for where my guest, in this case, Christian, I'd like for you to talk about, just maybe giving some of your thoughts in terms of like, maybe you can help inspire this particular user, just to they say they lack the skills to illustrate them in a drawn form. Can you encourage them or give them some thoughts in terms of like how they can like find ways to express themselves? Because everybody starts somewhere, and not everybody can be a Christian Zaffo right out of the box. I mean, this is several years of you taking like your creations, your ideas back from when you were like in middle school to where you are right now. Do you want to give some of your insight in terms of maybe trying to encourage this particular audience member?
Yeah, I mean, so looking to do with it if you're having an issue with just the arts up to par, the artist of kind of creator, hard at it, uh, find reference material, draw from reference about it. If it's about characters and anatomy, a million and one anatomy books that years and looked at, and other and I mean, uh, uh, the best at it. You keep learning. You keep getting better. And you just want to create something, and you're looking for someone to illustrate it. Take then I would probably at the same development as you are, that my art skills as you hone your creation skills in groups on Facebook and in general, where you could probably link. Maybe someone wants to be a really good artist or character designs, and maybe that would be someone you'd benefit working with, and between the two of you, or 3, 4 of you out there that
Yeah,
want to do this, and I think the more support you off each other, like I said earlier, I grew up in it. He's doing comics too. Anymore, but we fed, and I don't think each other during those years to feed off of pursued it.
Mm.
So that means a lot to have someone.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. And I'm still struggling with my audio end to actually hear and understand everything that you're saying because your audio is dropping out a little bit. But I did hear bits and pieces of it, and I think your advice there in terms of like, um, when we were growing up, we didn't have the internet and like the access to these Facebook art groups or like just art groups that you can meet over websites and Discord and things like that. Um, uh, I kind of pieced together some of the things that you were saying, and it's just like find you may not have that buddy that's like next door that you can just vibe off of and like be able to create stuff with uh, but you don't need to be geographically tethered to where you're at. You can use the internet not only to find maybe somebody that you can draw along with or a group you can draw along with, but there's tons of resources and tons of courses and YouTube videos that can help you refine your artwork. And then, of course, through this show, meeting artists like Christian to give advice and talk about their particular journey and how they hone their craft. And you mentioned before it's sort of like you took a little bit of a break from drawing because life happens, and then you got your things, you got your life. Like you had to like get through some sort of like some milestones in your life, and but the pandemic hit. You were talking about COVID. That's kind of like this milestone in time, which I think has been a pivotal point for a lot of artists who are indies, who said, you know what, I got this time now. I'm kind of like not in a semi-lockdown, or maybe that I'm here at my home, and I have to work from home, or maybe I'm figuring out where I'm going to be working. Maybe I should revisit some of my creations, and I think that's what you did with your artwork, and now your universe, with this comic book that you're coming out soon. I just wanted to pop up a few comments here because while you were talking, there was this the comment from that anonymous Facebook user. They said, maybe I need to get together with a forensic artist. Okay, possibly. I mean, I think art, there's art in all its forms, right? I mean, forensic is like, I was like thinking to myself, is it forensic artist? Do you mean like autopsy, like forensic study, like, doing like CSI stuff, or, I'm not exactly sure. Art is everywhere. I mean, there's the courtroom artists, that draw, like when there's not any cameras in there. There's also medical illustration. And, it's so funny when I think about it. Medical illustration definitely focuses on a lot of anatomy. And I just didn't realize, like how that parallels. I would have to say is that maybe there might be some, medical illustrators that could transition into drawing like comic art, but or vice versa. Maybe you could see comic artists being like medical illustrators. But yeah, and this user also said artwork is great. They love what you're doing here, and it's a pleasure to show that here to share Christian's work here.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm hoping the audio improves because I almost feel like I'm doing a little bit of like lip reading when I'm trying to like to understand.
Are you still having a?
Yeah, I'm hearing you a little clearer, but every other word still drops out, and so I don't know if it's. I mean, the headset's a little better than it was before, but it seems like a lot of I think our audience can hear you okay, so it might be isolated on my end. So if you're in our audience, let us know if you can hear Christian clearly, if you can hear me clearly. While Christian was talking, I was switching to like 3 different speakers, and I went back to my headphone because the speakers that I was using, the volume was so low that I maxed out the volume, and I still couldn't hear Christian as well. So I went back to my headphones or my earbuds so I can hear him a little bit better, even if it is just a few, every other word. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna just battle through this. So I've been showing a lot of your art here, and we talked about your influences and your style. And just like that Facebook user said, it's like I love your artwork. It is something that I'm very, I guess I'm jealous of you in the sense that in my own art, I can't get these clean lines. I can't resist the urge to get sketchy. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about having guests on here who are doing that next level art. They're doing pro work for themselves. They're not working for like the big companies because they're doing it. They're doing it themselves as indie creators. They're making it happen. With crowdfunding or if they're self-publishing. And another thing that I really love about this is that it's not only your art style, it's your creativity and your character design. I would like for you, we're getting close to doing some live drawing, but these last few sections in this particular round of this PDF that I'm going to show is like some of your original character concepts. So before we get drawing two of your original characters, looking at these right now, you want to I don't know if you can kind of put it into a nice bottle. I mean, a nice condensed response. Is there a process that you come up with, coming up with these unique characters and their looks? Is it a combination of all the years of reading comic books and stuff like that, or is it something this inspiration hits you, maybe you're outside and you see a bug on the tree and you're going, that bug would make a really cool armor design for one of my characters. What's your creative process when it comes to character design? Because we already see how tight your lines are and your illustrations. What do you think of when you're coming up with a new character?
It just depends on. So this character here, they have the whole universe of characters, and I said, okay. So like I said, the thing was, I said, well, let me come up with a rock character. So
yes,
I basically researched different types of, see if there was any cool names that I could character name, and then I wanted this character, that character, almost like organic, but still have that appearance that he is a rock, that he's made of rock. Sharp stalactite looking.
Yes.
Pieces, but then it's smoothed out with stuff. So it just kind of this is together as I'm doing it. Really, I do the underlying drawing for every character because it's the only thing that changes is the wall. Almost like clay. I'll do the clothing loosely, if there's anything I like or I'm going to change for that. Then lastly, face or feet. And you never really I don't. I'm up with the final design being what I look through. They'll go through an evolution until I really land on something I'm really happy. So yeah, it's I mean, in this character you're looking at there, I was watching the Marvel was Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, yes. Yeah.
And I looked at some color pants. That's pretty much the only thing that transferred over, but character.
Well, I think that when you're talking about that evolution, I think that it's kind of neat because that way, maybe you get inspired, you see Iron Fist, and I look at this and I go, oh, I can kind of see some of the Iron Fist influence, but it's it's just a little bit, because you come up with a character that's uniquely your own. You may be influenced by another character, or we talked about the that rock character. When you were going into talking about the stalactites and different types of rock, I can only imagine what that looked like colored, because you can go into my limited knowledge of geology, but you could come up with all sorts of it looked like part of his body was rocky and sharp and other parts of it were smooth. It could be obsidian, maybe there was really parts of his body that that have a different colored stones, and you know, it just opened my mind to think about how you know, what was going through your mind in terms of being able to come up with a unique character. And as I was hearing you talk about it, how, you know, how that would look, I was already like figuring out how that would look in color, and seeing like all the different textures that you could incorporate into that. And it's just really neat to see, you know, this is like I love seeing sketchbooks. It's great to see the final art pieces, but I like to see the behind the scenes stuff. So I was really thrilled when you showed me these, and I'm so happy to share this with our audience. Is that this is just really cool because you don't just see the pinups, you actually get to see like some. You don't just see that museum pose. You get to see a running pose.
Right.
You get to see here the squat, or being able to see like from a profile. You know, so I think this is really really neat. There was a few other comments here. Let me pop up some of these here. Let's see. When we were talking about forensic artistry, that particular artist or Facebook user was saying, though I'm mapping out a cadaver would be kind of cool with all the muscle strength. Yeah, you know, I think that's you, Christian. You went to a school of visual arts, and you know, you talk about art history. We learned about Da Vinci and Michelangelo. You know, they would actually study cadavers. You know, they would actually dissect them so they could you know, luckily we're in a day and age where we don't have to have cadavers in our basement where we can like study the muscle structure. You know, we can get a nice art book that shows anatomy and stuff like that. But yeah, times have definitely changed here in terms of like being able to study muscle structure. And let's see what else here. Yeah, there was a couple of people that were suggesting things about the audio issues that we were having, but you know, like I said, we're just going to keep on working through this, and I think what it's going to be is that your art speaks for itself, Christian. So your art pieces equal 1,000 words. So even though we hear every other word, or I hear every other word of you, you know, we're going to let your art do the talking here. So I'm going to round out some of these things. These are just really brilliant designs. I could just see these things. Your artwork could translate to so many things. You know, you're doing a comic book now, but I could see these as video game characters or characters for an animation. So do you see yourself like maybe not only doing comic books, but like maybe exploring video game character design or you know, animation for some of your comics? Have you thought about that?
I wouldn't mind else do the actual game or whatever character to do or something like that, or having formed into a game or but as far as doing the actual art, let's say for animation, people that did animation, and no, that's I give them even digitally nowadays doing things over and over.
Yes. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I wasn't implying that you become an animator. I was just saying you could do all the character design sheets for like an animated sequence, you know, like, you know, or an animated show, because I really think that, you know, there's something you know, your style that I think that would easily translate to like a video game design. You know, you could do all this like storyboards or the character designs for the video games. I think that they're so interesting, and they have a unique look to it. I think that would stand out in the video game, you know, field or the animation field. So great art here. We got to hear your origin story. I think this is a good segue into our first live drawing. So we talked about your Kickstarter, and we're gonna dig deeper into that. But it's called the C.O.U. That's what it is, and I believe that stands for Chosen One Universe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So
it's been around as long as everything else has.
Okay, so that's the home base. That's the universe that all of these characters all that have been swimming in Christian's head and has actually been in that. I don't know if you have that big binder that you showed me yesterday where you found all of your early artwork, but it was to me it was impressive because I wish that I kept all of my early artwork. And I think that that's great. And I was teasing you yesterday about you have all this great artwork. So when you do your memoir, when you do like that, the art of the chosen one universe, you have plenty of early work that you can show because you have all that great artwork that you had compiled, from your youth to where you are today. So in the chosen one universe, there are two characters that have remained, I think from what I read in your bio or what you had told me, that have remained essentially the same since you came up with their design to where they are now. And it's fitting because these are going to be the two you mentioned. They're going to be like your Batman, your Superman of your chosen one universe, and that is Addix and Aaron. And so they what a way to kick off your own universe. Make sure that they start the beginning of the alphabet with Aaron and Addix here. Yeah, so I'm going to show these two characters. So let's have it here. So here we have this is from your a graphic from your Kickstarter page. So on the left we have Aaron, and on the right is Addix. And just so I'm not mispronouncing it. It is Addix, right? That's correct. In terms
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
All right. So yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
So I want if you're in our audience and you would like to draw along with us because with Let It Out shows, not only do we get the treat of seeing our my guest, get to show their process, show the magic happen in terms of putting pen to paper, whether it's digital or traditional, having a blank page, blank screen, and you get to see a little bit of the process of our guest. So here we have it, the two characters that we're going to draw. And I'm going to go ahead and say that we are doing two drawings. And I think we did this with another. We're going to do it this time as well. You have the option of combining it. So like what Christian is going to do is he's going to draw both characters in a single composition. Now you could do a composition for each character, or you can do a large composition and draw both of them together. You can have them interacting with each other. They are both heroes, like we had talked about before. This is Christian's Batman and Superman. They have completely different methodologies when it comes to their idea of like justice and doing things for the greater good. But if you're going to draw along with us, do a screen capture right now so you can get have that as a reference. There is some character bio sheets that Christian provided. Let me go ahead and zoom in here so you can see the look of this character. And if you'd like to draw him, do a screen capture right now. And this is Addix, and then we also have here Aaron. All right, so this is where I'm going to. So Christian, I think you're going to have to turn your audio source back to your computer, and you're going to have to see if you can project your voice from
See how this goes.
from your. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But we're gonna solo out your art cam, so people can see you building that composition really well. And while you're doing that, we're gonna talk a little bit about the genesis of these two characters, and where they've come from. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Can you hear me? Okay. Are you hearing me? Okay, Christian. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so the first character we're going to draw is Addix. Okay, so I'm going to let Christian get his art cam up. And I'm going to get my art paper ready to go. So get the first character. This is Addix. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna add you to the stream, and great. I'm gonna solo you out so you occupy the entire screen. All right. So you can kind of see. First of all, Christian, can you hear me? Okay.
Can you find? Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you too. Yes. All right. So Christian has already done a little bit of a pre-sketch here. Um, and Christian, I just want to let you know I can see your art cam fine.
Okay, I'm just gonna move it a little.
Okay, that's fine. So, just like I mentioned just like previous shows, if you're in our audience and you would like to draw along with us, please do. Just let us know, or let me know in the comments field that you are drawing along with us, and then post it to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook, and that way I can share it and I can show this to Christian. So that being said, let's start out with 20 minutes for this particular first sketch, and our first drawing, and I'm gonna put the mic back in your hands, Christian, and I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about, like I said, the genesis of this particular character. Like, what is it about Addicts? You know, you can talk about his name, you can talk about his look, that unique hairstyle he has, talk about his power set, and all, the colors of his uniform, anything and everything. Let's talk about Addicts and why he is who he is.
So, like I said, in high school, and I was to be a speedster, like the Flash, and I was looking for wasn't the Flash to describe, and I started looking at Zell came to mind, and I Zell. So let me see if there's anything cool where that would be a good name, and there's. I don't know what kind of family of. I would say it's in the Gazelle family, and it's called Maddox. So I said, it sounded like a really cool name. That's his name. Not too much thought beyond that went into his name. It also path of thinking that's where the skull on his charm. I figured I'd take an animal look idea was to, everything that existed either by DC or Marvel. A lot of my characters start out from something that I was either reading, and so to punish the animal skulls, and just I was like, well, to just make this guy a speedster, like really, like I was saying earlier, everybody has this draw or create. I always wanted to do a little bit of both. Strong point. Growing, I wanted to create my own stories, my own character. I don't know. It's something more. I wasn't about a speedster, but back then,
I think one of the I was gonna say, I think one of the interesting things about Addicts is that he's like really like for a speedster, he's like really cut. He's like, you think of speedsters, you think of them as being like these svelte, slender characters. And what I like about your particular speedster here is that, he's like built like Superman. So was that one of those things that you said? It's like, I want my speedster to be like, he's gonna look like He-Man. Was that like a conscientious decision to not make him like yeah?
That was the other thing too. Like in the way of creating or writing his speeds, it wasn't really something I had done. Reading about, but I just wanted him to have that as first off. But then I was like more interested or things he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And where I came up with the, hey, let's make it, once you go down that path of storytelling, uh, you could have,
Mm-hmm.
and he's basically like my vampire, zombie, man. The experiments that they did on him after sleep or eat. He had, he's he's not elevated strength. He's definitely stronger than your average human being. Think of Captain America as far as strength.
Mm-hmm.
He does have one unique thing. I mean, I'm sure it's a power set, but he aura that is makes it impossible to actually physically touch skin to anything. Another part. The only things he can touch are things on him when he went through clothes he was wearing, his shackles around his wrists. Things that are actually touching his being. Feel that he was stuck with. Well, it's something that hinders him. It also, so he learns how to manipulate into a weapon of sorts. It could, he can refine it, use it as a battering ram. So he learns to use it and how to make it instead of a hindrance.
So you were talking about his power set. Aside from being like a speedster, he can generate force fields, and the force field is like always on. It's like permanent. And you also mentioned about you mentioned something like a zombie speedster force field. So you want to talk a little bit about like the zombie aspect of it, like what would make, or vampire, zombie vampire. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
I guess,
or, without spoiling things. Mm-hmm.
I mean, vampire in the sense that he doesn't eat anything, and not so much. He doesn't siphon energy. Nothing, but I just like he has the someone that might be dead, zombie. He has the I would attribute and most part, especially because of his force. He's like not that anybody.
Yeah, I think that's a really.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a really unique. Like, I've just never heard of that kind of power set, and like it's other complications that have to do with it. so
Yeah.
When you were talking about the shackles that is on his hands too, like because you mentioned he was kind of duped into like this government experiment. So like those shackles are like things that were on him when his power sort of like materialized, right? So that's it's kind of like showing that that he was a prisoner, I guess, or he was experimented on. And it's those are
so yeah.
They talk. Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Not really giving anything away. I mean, intro type stuff. But his family, his daughter specifically, her like the experiment along with it. It was basically for her. So that is his deal is his daughter. You find out, and he lost his wife in an accident. Kind of had like a, and they people that he used to work for because he was a career military, and when he finally retired, the accident with his wife, you know, they said, hey, we need someone for this program, and he's down doing well. Let's see if he's be willing to do it. That's where his story is, addicts. And yeah, so they would do to him. So the stuff that, to an extent, like he has a utility belt and things, they knew they were planning on using. They knew what the experiments were going to do to him. The person in charge scenario, the bad is on purpose because they knew what was going to happen. They never
right
able to touch again. So they his weapons and everything, and that's one my explanation for how he can even be wearing clothes.
Well, you know, it's like with any superhero, it's like we can have a suspension of disbelief. It's kind of like
Right.
the Hulk. It's like it's like when he turns into the Hulk, you know, how is it that his, you know, puny banner and his, you know, doctor's coat and his purple pants or whatever, it's like when he turns into the Incredible Hulk, you know, how do those pants stay on the Hulk in terms of when he transforms? But so we won't have to like go into all the specifics in terms of understanding, you know, what you know parts of his costume are still there after all the experiments that happen, and you know him having a force field that's on all the time. You know how that would work. But
Right.
I was gonna say it's like for his look, you know, we had talked about like how you know your creative process in terms of like you coming up with character design. Is Addicts like, you know, is he modeled after like an archetype, like a special, like, you know, we talked about Batman and Superman. You know, I don't see him looking like Batman
No.
or Superman. I mean, we were just using that as a general, you know, we were making a general thing about how these are like your flagship characters.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it.
I think
But is there like a character that you modeled or that you thought of? You came up with Addicts.
it's more. I would say more of I modeled him after than an actual. Like you said, the description of Batman and Superman is basically just personality traits. That's not really
Right.
looks. You know,
Mhm.
Boy Scout, naive, the Aaron character, and the like the still fighting kind of characters all about.
Mhm.
Really, this was this. You know, this one you have the shoulder tubing with it's just cool. They're on there, and that's an influence. Others had similar things. A lot of '90s influence. The hair.
Uh-huh. That is unique.
I started.
The hair
I
is
wanted
like
him to be. I wanted him to be a long-haired rocker. You know, the initial
okay.
thought was he was going to be. You don't see too many characters with. Well, it's not at the time. He did. Everyone had the short buzz mask or something. So I said I wanted to have long hair. Started drawing the hair that one day over the ear, and then I went to the tip of hair up, and I said, "Wait a minute," and there you had it, and that was it.
Yeah, you did.
So,
I think you actually redefined the mullet. You made the mullet look badass.
yeah,
It's like
yes.
this is like a futuristic, you know, take on like of what the potential of a mullet could be. And of course, it took it's much longer than that. It doesn't just go to his shoulder. It goes a little bit, goes down his to the length of his, to the
Well,
bottom of his
that's a
back.
good character has an example. One has his exaggerated chains and
Yes.
who's drawing it. He has exaggerated ears. And Cape has
Uh-huh.
horns on it. That's the weirdest. But so every good character from the beginning till now, when everything was exaggerated and stuff, they all have at least one aspect of their suit or their character that changes with the mood and that's his hair. His
Yes.
long in one image, just because the energy of that moment dictated to be really subdued. There's taking all three and put it in a ponytail, and he's really like a job interview type of addicts.
I never thought of it that way, but I think it's like
that's the emotional, visual emotion of this character. You can tell what's going on in his, and it's just one of those things. It's an artistic, whatever you want to call it.
It's an artistic choice in terms of
it's one of those things that will never, for those in following the C.O.U. for the long, are going to be the length of his hair will do a specific length.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he's like his hair is kind of like Samson and Delilah. Like Samson was his hair. I think it was that story. Is it Samson? He had like the strength in his hair. If his hair got cut, then he would lose the strength, right? So maybe with addicts, like aside from the force field that he has, I guess you'd have to get through his force field. Yeah, exactly. There's a practical reason why his hair is long, is because you can't get through his force field to cut it.
Force field, he would have been all right.
Exactly. All right, just to give you a heads up.
See it? Am I still on camera?
Yeah, you're still on camera. We have about we have like 3 minutes left, and let's just see where we get in 3 minutes. And if you would like to add more time to it, we definitely can do that. But all right, I tell you, I'm having some fun drawing this character. Especially, I'm like trying to figure out how I can make his hair stand out a little more, because the pose that I picked, you can't really see his hair in all its glory. I think that's one of the unique character design.
About the hair, you can never go wrong with the hair on him. If you think of it like this, the lines, his hair, so up in action like I'm doing, then his hair is that motion line behind him.
Yeah, it's like his hair is like a cape. It functions kind of like a cape. It adds that extra motion and dynamic qualities to him when you can have his hair flowing in different directions.
And it helps for movement. It does.
Yes. Yes. So let's.
There's no wrong way.
I might have missed it. Did you talk about the meaning behind the skull that's on his chest? Did I miss that? Did you kind of explain that earlier? Or?
Yeah. I mean, it goes along with when I was looking for animals to fashion him after. Once I landed on the addicts, and now he needs, the Punisher. It was an idea from the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked his simple and clean, and So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I basically took his namesake and did an animal skull. And, what you can't see here and without the color is shoulder, and then come back down around his ridge from the back. You would see the horn down around his rib cage.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, because I think you had told me about the addicts being kind of like a like a graceful like fast animal, right? And then you wanted to
I
like
think it's
double
in,
down on
like
that and make it more animalistic, right?
I think
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said it's he. I believe he's in the addicts. That look
I sort of your audio dropped out again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
weird. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Did you lose me?
Uh-oh.
Lose me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now, but I didn't hear your response there. But I can hear you now.
Oh,
And just so you know, the time just expired. Do you want to add an extra 5 minutes to the drawing?
yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And like I tell all of my guests, and is that you don't need to like completely finish it. Obviously, we're going to go to the next uh, drawing subject. So you can just sort of like take this as far as you want, and then we'll go to the next drawing. We're next character, and then we can add him in, and then of course take that as far as you can, and then later on when you finish it, you can send it to me, and we can post the finished product. But I'm gonna add an extra 5 minutes. I'm starting the clock right now, and that'll allow us to like kind of like polish it up a little bit more. I'm looking at my composition, and I kind of wish that I kind of zoomed in a little bit too much, and I can't really show the majesty of his hair. I really wanted to like show the flowing hair and how that it just that's just such a unique aspect of your character, and I don't have enough room to show all the coolness of it.
The hair. That's his thing. The hair.
It's his trademark. That's his trademark. So when you conceived this character, there was no variation of him that had short hair, right? He's always been this
Never
way.
had
like
short
his
hair.
hair's-
Yeah.
Never had short hair.
No.
Yeah.
Always had. Always had.
Yeah, as I'm drawing your character, it's like now I understand the gauntlets and why they have, because I was wondering what those are chains, shackles. I saw the gauntlets, but now I understand like those are broken chains from where he was. So it makes complete sense now, and I understand. Like, what about his colors? The colors for his costume, are they symbolic of anything?
They're just. So again, it goes with. He's named after an idea of a fast land, usually probably out in the open plain, like an earth tone costume.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's pretty much where it came up with the color scheme for him.
Right.
Again, like he had a skin complexion because I wanted him to be type. Um, Changed after time. I want because a lot of his the stuff with his daughter that you'll see and have more of connection or feel, how so I felt if it's a vampire zombie type character, you know, the warm earth tones is what I went with. It's really, you know, it wasn't too involved as to why, but
Yeah, I understand. You didn't want to give him like too flamboyant. His colors didn't need to be flamboyant because, you know, zombie vampire speedsters, they don't wear like bright clothing. So, or you don't imagine
like
them wearing bright clothing.
if you even look at the, it's not, not a ton of color there.
Hmm.
And then some of the other characters have even more. He's kind of just like not really monotone, but you know, all in the same
Right, right.
bright. His gold bling, he has a necklace that's gold. His arm straps have some in it.
Yeah, just enough color to make him a little bit more interesting. I think that that allows the animalistic skull on his chest to stand out a little bit more because it's a different tone, or like what you'd expect from the earth tones that you have that are for his regular costume. All right, so we're approaching our last like minute,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna try and darken my lines a little bit so it can hopefully show up on the camera a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to put my pencil down, and I don't know. I'm going to. I've been resisting looking at your art because I have to. If I end up like with all of my guests when I have them on the show, is that if I look up and look at what my guests are doing, I'm not going to be able to draw because I'm just going to be mesmerized and want to watch what they're doing versus drawing. So let me look. Oh my gosh, that looks so cool. And I love the foreshortening that you have with his leg coming forward there. All right. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you keep on drawing. I'm going to check our art show page to see if anybody drew along with us. And
Very cool.
if you're in our audience and you did draw, let me know in the comments field that you are drawing along with us, and I'll be more than happy to share that with Christian. And it looks like, unfortunately, no one drew along with us yet. So, but you know, who knows? Maybe they'll when we do our second part of this drawing challenge, which will be Aaron, maybe they can share along with us. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you my art real quick, and then we can move to our next drawing challenge. So, I don't know if you want to swing over to your desktop. I can show it to you. Hold on one second. Let me get my drawing really quick, ready to go. And all right, so this is my feeble attempt. Yep, I can hear you. So this is my feeble attempt at drawing your character. So I kind of went for this a little bit of like lunging forward type thing, and but like I said, I ran out of space to show his hair, and I couldn't figure out the best way to have his hair because it's going to be flowing behind him. But I think I'm gonna come back, and I'm probably gonna try and revisit this a little bit, and so I can maybe draw it on a larger sheet of paper so I can show more of his hair, because I think that was one of the cool factors in terms of the character, in terms of his unique look. But I'm going to show your illustration one more time so people can check it out. So let me make that big real. Whoops. Here we go. So you can see this is going to be a what Christian is going to do is he's going to add Aaron to this illustration because he's doing a 2-for-1. He's putting both of his characters, both of these live drawing challenges into one illustration. All right, so I'm going to set the clock again to 20 minutes. And just like we did with Addicts, Christian, I would like you to kind of give like a general overview of who Aaron is, like what where did his name come from, his power set, and we can talk about his aesthetic, like what his look, and I take it if we're using the Batman Superman, not like their power set, but just the these being your flagship characters. He's kind of like more of the Boy Scout character, where Addicts was more of the Batman, badass. We have Superman, more Boy Scout kind of character. So let's start drawing Aaron, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about his character.
Yeah, like you said, if you had to compare him and do it, he's like the Superman. Because he's like but naive. He's a new generation. The Greek gods. They had, my take is that they generation of children that about and came after the Hercules and all that. He's basically like the head of that generation Greek gods. He is they've never dealt with human God problems, which of a deal to them. Evil are a lot different than how we accept and deal with it. So the story leads it to where him and his companions have to, there's a crowd down and with living among humans now, try and stop the basic and be doing. But as a human society is a lot and is new to them. Like, what do things? There's a lot of stuff like that. So in that sense, he's came here, very, having to figure and where he fits in. So, been the big thing. He's, they all look to him. They make him their main guy. His friends and his age, generation, but not something he asked for. So, especially when you see some instances where he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be that guy. He doesn't want to be. He has his problems. He wants to, and but because he ends up doing it.
Because that's what heroes do, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A lot of inner turmoil with that, and he has his companions feed both as a love interest. It's like, well, if you don't want to do and one of his best friends gets newly the Oracle, so he's being constantly telling him that these things, it's your destiny. It's predetermined. He's not even getting a lot, I should say, from those that are more confusion, more angry.
Mm-hmm.
And and then the villain of his story, they don't care what his inner turmoil is. They just know he's the guy that will eventually or could eventually do so. Whether he likes it or not, they're going. So he
Yeah.
into all these scenarios.
Yeah, villains don't care about any type of turmoil a hero is going through, right?
Right.
So, if you're going through a rough spot, too bad. We're still going to try and take over the world.
Yeah,
So you
he has that. Why don't you leave me alone? I just want to be left alone. Why do you keep coming? They're like, well, because you're who you are.
Mm-hmm. See, I think your audio broke up a little bit. But you talked a little bit about. So there's a love interest. He has like his own Lois Lane. I take it, like his own. I think with Addicts, he had his daughter that was like his counterpoint. You mentioned something about a love interest. Is that like a character that definitely
when you get introduced to him together, you got to see that they've already lived the most human lives, probably several, and so when you meet him, he's with also one of the close companions that go on this down to earth to with the even the gods and so she's part of the team of good guys here, and but she's also, like I said, and she's the bad devil sitting on the shoulder. Oh, you have to do what's right. So he has actual physical manifestations of that.
So let's talk about his particular look, like your costume and costume choice, like colors and his look. He also has these big gauntlets on his arms too. We talked about the gauntlets on Addicts were like chains, or like where he was shackled before. With him, obviously, I don't think he was shackled. He wasn't an experiment. He's much different from Addicts. You want to talk a little bit about the design choices you made for the way that he looks?
Yeah. So, there is a lot of breaks down really simply the superhero characters are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
They mingled with humanity. The gods, like the stories that we from actual mythology. They're basically the central force. They're from a lot of the powers come from a lot of the characters and other stories that are for a lot of derived from them in one way, shape, or form. And one of these is artifacts, the powers, but the powers were gods and into these artifacts, whatever they are, and the gods are wearable. It could be a sword that has a jewel. It could be the gauntlet. It could be a belt. Give different powers, and so his gauntlets hold huge jewels in them. One and
Ah. Uh-huh.
and his they don't give him a specific their own power a certain way, but those do that.
I get it. I get it. Um, so his belt, does his belt have, aside from his gauntlet, his belt has one of um, those artifacts in them as well, or is it just in his gauntlets?
So what they things that can amplify the tools in the gauntlet are actually where his power. Um, can you see on the drawing? Hold on, let me see. Let me know if I'm ever drawing out of the
Oh, I can.
cameras.
Oh, I'm actually
So,
trying to avoid looking at your drawing, but I'm
all
I'm
right.
looking
So
at it right now. It
on his,
it, it, it,
on
it is
his
in frame. It
legs,
is in frame. Yeah. Uh huh.
on his legs, it does these, and they basically kind of like they're just kind of like amplification.
Uh huh.
Uh,
So they're like amplification points, like on his costume, right?
yeah.
The
And again,
where the
anyone gauntlets, whatever. But some people might never get it. People might derive different powers from them. It it's basically take what's in the person,
mhm.
translate it to a special power. Whatever these stones
Ah.
decide per person.
So basically, it will
Uh,
amplify the power of whoever's wearing it, right? Or help channel it.
right. So when gods have children, in this, it's basically these are given to them at birth. You basically kind of wait till what they turn into, or what.
Yes.
And what else?
Yeah. Like, what about his color palette? I mean, it definitely is a contrast to Addict's, which was more earth tones. Um, with Aaron, these are like cool blues and grays. Um, so I guess did you want to have that kind of contrast between these two characters?
To get the sense that you through his costume, good guy, but he was like I don't know, like I, I always thought it's a bit funny. Like he's Superman. He's supposed to be all good colors, blues, yellows, to just make it pop and make it. Hey, he's good. His colors tell you for him. I wanted it the color scheme with the white and the blue. I didn't want it screaming. You want to call it like
You
I
didn't want
wanted
to
it to be.
you didn't want to get the primary
People
colors. You want.
did run around in spandex and capes, other than Superman.
All right, so we have about 10 more minutes left on the clock to do this. So just want to give you a heads up in terms of time.
So we were influences, but we were. I know there was a lot Mike issues at the time, but one of my first art was Art Adam.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
And I remember when we talked yesterday on Lim, and that was kind of like I agree with it, but that was kind of like an inadvertent. It reminds me of Ron Lim type thing, like I was born. not 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 this. Not this. He's a great artist. He got a lot of work over the years. He was one of the people who I found as I was learning.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
But
are the
I can
Adams.
tell you though, yeah. But when we talked about it, I think actually I see more Art Adams too. Like especially like early Art Adams. Not. I think a lot of people. I mean, we were fans, I guess, of Art Adams back like in the '80s. So we've seen like his art style evolve. And when I look at your artwork, it's reminiscent of Art Adams in his early career. I see that as an influence in your artwork. And you know, we talked about what we liked about Art Adams back in the '80s, you know, versus like what he's doing right now. And I had to say that it was
Right.
when we talked about it, I was like, going, yeah, I see why. I mean, the influence in your artwork, where his older style is influenced in your current style, and even some of the artwork that you had showed me, the stuff that you had done in the past too, and I think that's really neat that you're able to find ways to incorporate an Art Adams style that's kind of like not known, not as well known, because a lot of the stuff that he does is
Right.
what people are known for. That more cartoony, blocky style. It's almost like he was a little bit more organic with his forms earlier in his career, and I see that more in your artwork.
Yeah. Like we're again. You know, he'll than I'll probably ever learn, but he's also been doing it for. And I feel in any profession when you've been doing something so quicker and easier ways to do it because you know you're going to be turning out so much of it. Why hard way? And I found a formula for his artwork. Um, Unfortunately, the only downside is that you take away some, and one of the things was like, you know, like he drew this one conversation, but his angles walking down a hall, getting from point A to point was amazing. It was like you were watching um, like Game of Thrones or something, where they're walking through these castles with all this ornate stuff, and they're having just a conversation, and it was, and now you could pretty amazing, but you could
Uh huh.
pretty much take his panels, lump into it, and boom, it's or you know going from A to B as much. I'm not saying he doesn't. Yeah, I think he just came up with a really good formula for his that helps him be able to do it without killing himself.
Right.
And I think that was something
And
away sometimes.
yeah, and you know, with Art Adams stuff, that it's always like super detailed. It's like the guy will draw like every scale on like Godzilla. It's what he'll do. So so I guess he's found ways to, like, maybe he doesn't have to do the long establishing shots and stuff like that where there was like a you know, long hallway with all these details. But when he comes to drawing the actual characters, it's like he puts in all this detail into it. I remember seeing also one of his like when he'll draw buildings. It's almost like he draws like all the bricks that are in the building too.
I mean, again, his stuff is amazing. Either it's a cover or a short story or whatever. If I know it's just he's one of those, but it was his early
Yeah.
stuff
Uh-huh.
is even more insane. Attention to detail, that's a big influence on me, and I really his face, even then and now, his face is like there's just something about it. It's cool. It's just cool. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
I look at an Art Adams face and wow, it's cool.
Mhm. All right, we're approaching our last like 2 minutes. To give you a heads up, I guess that's our 2 minute warning. and then we'll see where you're at with it. And if you feel good about it, then we can show it. Or if you want to add time to it, we can definitely do it. Um, Completely up to you to see where we go with it. But like I said, um, if you would, if even wherever you get with it, if you want to finish it, polish it up, you can definitely do that, and we can share it and show it a little bit later on when you have some time to refine it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely want. I'm gonna finish.
So, is there anything else you can kind of talk a little bit about Aaron without spoiling anything? Like any other juicy details that you can talk about? Like I know that what was unique, yeah, yeah. I'll let you talk. Do you have anything you can kind of
No,
elaborate
no.
on?
I really have a full thought there. So go ahead.
All I was gonna say is that I was just like, if you can't tell any more about the character, it's because you got to go buy the book, right? You got to go support the Kickstarter.
That's it. But like I said, if you go to those, you showed them earlier, the cards.
Mm-hmm.
I got a few on there. I don't have much of making them, but the one there, and it kind of gives you a little bit about them. But like I said, basically, there some addicts who's basically Earth human alter want to describe him, and he's the problems and government issues and stuff like that. Parent who's working on he's more trying to Detroit. Be more, I guess, those be a little bit more epic on that level.
Okay, hey, we're coming up on our last minute, so I'm gonna just try and darken up my lines so maybe it can show up a little bit on cam, um, and I'm resisting the urge to look up at the camera so I can see or look up at the screen so I can see what you're doing. I'm really curious to see how you integrated the two characters together.
Visible, yeah.
Okay.
I can point it out. Yeah, is what I could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's fine. Like I said,
done?
it's yeah, we are done. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and put one extra line on here. All right. Okay, are you ready? Do you want to add any more time? Do you want to add a little bit? Do you want to add like
real quick?
Okay, let's go ahead. We'll add 4 more minutes. How about that? Let's do 4 more minutes. That'll give you some time to add some more detail to his belt, like you said. So, like, I guess, well, just to switch or to get off a little bit of topic here, are you because I know your art style is to me, it's obviously that nice, we talked about the '90s stylization with an '80s vibe to it. Are you a fan of like any other uh comic genres, like maybe like manga or like anime? Do you? Because I have to say that I look at the Kickstarter picture that you did of Aaron, and I look at his head, uh, his the way that you drew his head. It actually has a very manga vibe to it, especially the hair, where it kind of like spikes downward and it's slicked back. But it makes me kind of think of an anime vibe. Are you a fan of anime or manga?
Things that I liked years ago, but I wasn't a big follower of it, and inverting it a lot, and and it's without me really knowing it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really into it. I appreciate it,
Uh-huh.
but as far as I've gotten into it,
Uh-huh. Yeah, where I grew up,
nothing new,
I
nothing
didn't
new.
have really.
I mean, back in the
Uh-huh.
day, like I love the Kira.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I used to be a fan of, um, and then I saw a couple of the cartoon Trigun, I think is what it's
Yes.
called.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
That was in the early
but that,
2000s, I guess. Yeah, Trigun.
yeah, and but from that, I mean, I liked what everybody else did when, like, you know, I was into Voltron back in the day. But nothing, nothing really else than other than those things. You're not the first person that's told me that. I mean, I've heard.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's not because we talked about all these. Your style. It's obvious. There's obvious influences from that I kind of recognize, but it is all Christian. It's like I think that's the thing that uh, I would say it's like a recurring topic with some of my the guests. Is sort of like sometimes our guests will like say, hey, how do you develop a style? And it's not like it's not something I think you consciously do. And this is coming from somebody who's still trying to figure out what their style is. It's sort of like it's your style is an amalgam of all the artists that you kind of like idolize, or you kind of look at their artwork and you kind of try and copy and learn. And then of course you're learning anatomy on your own. And then before you know it, you've kind of like come up with your own style. But it's like something that develops organically, and it's not something that you consciously are doing. It's like, hey, you wake up, tomorrow and you say, hey, I'm going to come up with my own style. I'm going to practice my style. It's not like, I don't think that's the way it works, at least the way that I think of it working. It's sort of like you just sort of keep on drawing, you keep on doing practicing, and then you come up with your style. Is that a philosophy that you kind of share?
Well, yeah,
or what is your...
you end up developing your own style. I feel based on where you're getting your information. With comic book artists, it's whoever you influence you to want to do it. Hey, I want to draw just like that person, or I like the way they do. Then you look at practice that. So maybe I had someone that I like the way they did their eyes. Another person did their, or the way another person during, and you become your own style because you learn from multiple sources,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I've done over the, as much as I have favorites and people who style whatever, I've taken a bunch of different, where I learned to do face and eyes of a male character. Maybe I wasn't crazy in that. I got that from someone else.
Right.
Influence.
Okay. All right.
On
We actually have our time is expired, so I'm going to put my pencil down and I'm going to let you on drawing. And while you keep on drawing, I'm going to check the comments field and our art show page to see if anybody drew along with us. So you keep on drawing, and then we'll look at your artwork, or I'll look at your artwork. I've been, like I said, resisting looking at your art because I don't want to spoil it. Right, so it doesn't look like any in our comment field drew along with us, which is sad, I guess. But I think that I know that we had a time change, so maybe that kind of like threw everybody for a loop, and maybe they thought that we were on, and when we weren't on it, because we lost or we gained an hour, So maybe they thought we weren't broadcasting when we did. So maybe that was the case. But
Uh,
you know what? People can
I hope
watch.
I hope about that.
Yeah, well, I think people can watch this on demand. So I encourage anybody that watched it later on. You're more than welcome to do any of these drawing challenges that we do, and then post um, to the on-demand video page and just tag Christian, and that way he can look at it and check it out because his characters are just really cool. They have a throwback quality, but there's also a future quality to them. And like I said, it's that '80s vibe with the '90s stylization. All right, so I'm gonna look up here and see what you got. Oh yeah, look at that! Look at that! And see, that's like I again, I'm looking at his head, the way that you drew his head, and it reminds me of a character. I think his name is called. It's an anime character called Berserk, or an anime series called Berserk, and the character's name is Guts, and it kind of has his hairstyle is kind of reminiscent of that, and I like it. I like it. It has a definite. Yeah, I see so much of that. I see more Art Adams in this, like early Art Adams when I'm looking at this, and with the Bart Sears influence too. It's like, yeah, I definitely see the influences, but it's like I said, it's uniquely Christian. So very very cool.
Sorry,
Do you want to like zoom? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you saying?
this was. Yeah, can you zoom out? Because
Oh,
definitely
I
gonna be finishing this. Kind of maybe show you how it. There's
how you're gonna combine them together?
blue line here. I don't know. If you,
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Wow, that's gonna be a
Oh.
big composition when you combine these two together.
Oh yeah. Basically, you have
Oh,
him just breaking out of the roof, like Parthenon style. The side of
yeah, I
him.
see. Uh-huh. Oh, are you
Uh,
going to light box these? Are you going to light box these together, or they're going to be two separate? Like you're going to connect these two together, and then
when it's done,
uh,
I'm not going to put them together. Pieces
okay, I
that
got
can be connected.
I see. That looks fantastic. I can't wait to see what that looks like together. Okay, I guess since, yeah, let me just show you quickly what I did, and then we can go on to talk about your Kickstarter. So let me minimize this.
Correct.
All right, and then you can go back to your iMac. So we can go back to our face cams. So let me minimize this.
Let me ask you a question. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You like it's not as bad, but you do drop out every so many words. But I was able to understand you. So hopefully, maybe that's just something on my end. And when I go back and watch this on the stream, maybe
The headphones
the audio.
back in?
Yeah, I think the audio is good. I can hear you okay. So here's my
Okay.
illustration. I just wanted to show you this real quick. I had fun. I kind of drew him from a little bit of a worm's eye view. I wanted to make it look like he was kind of hovering above us type things. But I did kind of give him a little bit of like
Yeah, it's cool.
somebody ate my Wheaties, and I'm a little bit upset about it. But I didn't want to make him look like like he's a bad guy. But I really wanted to make it look like, hey, don't upset him. He has like kind of like I can definitely throw down with the best of them. But so that was really cool. I had a great time drawing your character. Let me turn this off real quick.
Cool.
Let's get our face cams up here. All right, so now that we've seen two of the flagship characters from the Chosen One universe, let's get into your Kickstarter. Let's show that. So I'm gonna pull up a particular tab. I have it right here because I want to get the word out on this. And let me actually get the. I'm gonna pop up the URL too. So hold on one second. I'm gonna go into the chat field. And I'm going to show this here. So the C.O.U. Big Bang Moment on Kickstarter. This is where you can go. Now, Don't go there just yet, because we want you to actually. This is where we're going to sell you on the idea of the Chosen One universe. So let me bring up the Kickstarter page. All right, and I'm going to put you at the top here. So, and of course, if you don't want to like type, I mean, this is a shortened URL, but you can type in Christian Zaffo, or you can type in the C.O.U. Big Bang Moment when you go to Kickstarter, and you should be able to find it. We got 29 days to go. It's still an early campaign. $3,000 goal, $381 raised, 9 backers so far, but it's brand new. It's only 29 days in. So, Christian, I'm gonna give you the mic, and I'm gonna let you talk about this Kickstarter. I'm gonna scroll through there. If you want me to go to any specific thing about tiers or who your guest artist, you let me know. I'll scroll to it. But I would just like you to kind of talk about why our audience would love to support you. What is it about what we heard about these 2 flagship characters. We talked about your creative journey, but now you have a book. You not only have a book, you have an anthology, which is not just one story. It's I want to say, is it 6 stories or is it 5 stories?
6 stories.
Six stories. So I'll let you talk about this campaign, what it's about, and why people should support you. So Mike is in your hands, and I'm just going to scroll through this, let people look at it while you're talking.
Right. So the basically exactly what it says. It's the big dive. Started when I was younger, and after years along with me and being fleshed out, they're to head out on their own for everybody to enjoy. They have a real 80s, 90s feel to their it's a little bit of suspense. In throughout the store, talked about 2 people that are today to superheroic or typical those. There's we time travel, alternate reality, basic stories. It's all in here for everybody, and it's really supposed to exist because there's a little bit of everything. And it doesn't take place on just one to explore other things all within the same universe. People don't really do comic book galaxies, universe. So I think you look at it, you check it out, and you one or the other of these. There's going to be some stuff down the line, some crossovers that you wouldn't think would happen in books and the titles, but I wanted to do was keep it reader entertained, but your outlook on entertainment has always been whether it's to read a book, go to the movies, play a big reality. So I don't issue oriented with my share, have a good time, have fun, get into the camera. Are they going to make it? Wait and see. That stuff that was fun when I was a kid. I think, once you start to read to their stories, I think, my hope, you keep coming back. I want more of them. I can relate to them. For the people my age or older, nostalgia, but from a new.
Yeah, I like to say that I like the idea of the anthology, because as you've come up with this whole universe. You've come up with a universe of characters, your world building, and rather than just like on saying, well, here's my first, these are two characters in this entire universe that I came up with, Aaron and Addix, and to me they're impressive, but maybe it doesn't quite grab everybody. Like maybe it doesn't resonate with everybody right off the bat. By giving them an anthology, you're giving them 6 different ways to be introduced into your universe, the Chosen One universe. They get to see 6 other stories, feature characters. So if Aaron and Addix don't resonate with you, maybe one of those other characters do, and maybe by reading those stories, you start caring for Aaron and Addix. You start caring for those other characters because they're all interconnected. And you being the creator of all that's in the Chosen One universe, you know how they're all connected. Like in the anthology, you talked about things about time travel and things like that. So in the of those 6 stories, are they like
I can tell.
Do they all
you
have,
what they
all
are.
happen in this? Are they like different? Are they well? Yeah. Are they like different time periods in the same universe, or are they all like in the same present time, or do they all time travel?
So
Yeah.
two stories are related in the sense that one the future and one's the past of in that same story. So you have Odin the Journey, which was made from Earth, the Earth, and to flee and and basically on this arc that was generations of humans and born, and they, what humans do, they start from their past. Anything that they know of what Earth was is just removed, is just stories, and so that whole story on this arc. Now this arc is as but they get to the end, but it's there, so it's really like a sci-fi stories revolving around and what could happen up in space, and the
So you're definitely giving like
the part of
so
that story is that
keep on going.
So the other part of the story is Paradiso, which is basically ends up landing on. It's humanity starting over anew on a new planet. Medieval feel, fantasy feel to it. Some high tech stuff from an arc that had all this technology, integrates the two, but that's basically fantasy feel to people that like role playing games or dragons, medieval times, stuff like that. That then there's one stepson who is playing a lot of video online a lot and playing the games, and him and his friend together, and they're the type of kids that they get on it and try to beat it faster than so and he becomes that's an intro page for his first room is pretty accurate. premise is
This is art imitating life.
um, his closet, reminiscent of the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe, his closet video game universe, and comes the chosen one to save both realms, disrupting the game world, but the human world as well. And he has to, and one of the things he has to do is, and it's episodic. So every he gets his own story. It type of video game, and he's basically in his how to solve it, make sure that he continues to both realms from this, and he basically going to be certain things, whether it's powers, accessories, magic, completion of each one of these tasks.
Yeah, it definitely has like a Ready Player One kind of like vibe to it, with some Matrix thrown in there.
Right, and there's going to be some step-aways where you get to see things are affecting the real world, like maybe one issue will have all, and some crazy stuff is going on in the mall. He was unable to stop something from, so he'll make, so.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things is that you have to get the book so you can understand where these stories are coming from. You're going to be able to empathize with them, relate to them, and kind of see what their challenges are. And I think that's one of the cool things about this anthology, and the book. So I wanted to show this, and then you talked about all the the stories in the anthology, but you also have some great stretch goals, which includes, or tiers actually, that include like artwork from some of the influence that you had, or people that influenced you. We have we have this cover that obviously that you did, but the one here that I wanted to show here, the Andy Smith cover. Him being somebody that talked to you, getting advice, and learning from his art style like that. I think this is really cool. So you have a cover by Andy Smith. There's also here Chris Graves. I've heard of him. He's kind of broke out in the last year in terms of like being able to. I've seen him on projects as well. How did you meet Chris? Was it somebody is he a friend of yours, or did you just see his artwork and maybe reach out to him to maybe do a cover for you?
So I forget how we became friends that way, but mutual people, I guess. And once I was seeing his post, I think I was seeing a lot of college stuff. I see so many people all the time. I want to say the wrong thing as far as his work, but I think I saw coloring other people's stuff first, if I'm correct in that. And then I started seeing his original art. I think it fits. Andy Smith was down too, but Chris was the second person I had gotten Andy on board. I see a style, and then that would look good on this story. Or that would, so when I reached out and he said he would be able to do it, I was like, I'll send you the reference right away.
Yeah.
And I tell you, this, this, I think in that group of characters in the story, I picked those two because it was a cover, and I wasn't would go together, and a combination contrast against each other, and just it's really good. And he think I gave him a base description. I'm like, they're on a ship hallway and like almost nailed exactly what. And he did a great job.
Well, I'm gonna say that maybe you were a really good art director.
Yeah,
too.
No, hallway.
And was kind of.
That's all I said.
I was gonna say that. Yeah. But also I don't know who did for it, but I think what makes this really stand out too is the colors in terms of like the contrasting colors. With her being red, him being in green, and then it's against that blue background. Great color composition choices as well. Has a Christmas vibe to it. So yeah, buy C.O.U. The Big Bang moment for get that for people. Get that. Here we have Louise Thomas. I've heard of this person. I think too. I have to go back and check, but another great cover here. I guess there's another character that's featured in the anthology.
So now this is a story. So we didn't really guess out. Still, I'm at about that. But two of the things are the pencils for this story. This is a 10-page. One other 10-page story, which is drawn. Now just a little rendering has to be done before. But this one here is based Tomb Raider meets Star
Wonder Woman
slapstick comedy.
Okay, I gotcha.
He's the wisecracking leader, and the big brute. It's kind of lists, and then you have there's a third person. It's a very silent person, doesn't say much, but is the logical person of the whole group, and it's and they go on adventures like that. They're always going to be looking for or whatever, and they're basically they get people that come to them when they say, hey, we need this, we need that, getting themselves into more just a heist or a treasure of some conspiracy or something bigger than and they never learn that lesson. They just keep there for it's an ongoing series.
It's like they're the what was it, that character Luis in Ant-Man? It's like, I know a guy. I know a crew. This is that crew. They're the crew that you get. This is the crew you contact to get what you need. But yeah, so like you have other tiers here, and like here you got Bart Sears here. The man Bart Sears who did all those. I remember the Justice League books he did in the I think was it Justice League International. I think that he
yes
did. I know that he did those Wizard art tutorials, Wizard magazine.
Yeah.
Captain Atom. I remember buying those Captain Atom things because no one drew like really heroic, muscular characters that were bathed in metal like Captain Atom.
Right.
Did. But yeah, I think you did. You were able to get him to do artwork for you. I think.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
he did
how did that just like?
Great. He's done a bunch of stuff. Like I believe my first introduction when he had a drawing section in there, like a couple of pages of how to draw. Since now recently put out big books and some new stuff and everything. I think he's on his how to draw book with that series, and I think but he did Justice League. I believe, but I remember that I was really what else did he do? He did a stint in X-Men.
Yes.
It was
did. I remember he did that too.
I thought, and and he did a lot of covers for some independents. There was a Dark Horse a series where every issue introduced characters into their dark.
Well, I was gonna say is like, how did you snag him to like do a cover for you?
I didn't think I would be able to get Andy Smith to do a cover, and I said, you know what do I got to lose? And he said, yeah.
Oh, you had to be on cloud 9 to like get two artists that you looked up to actually contribute to your book.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling. That moment they say yes, you're like, I wasn't just reaching out. When it came to reaching out to someone that's an artist to see if a comic cover for me, for my book, out to basically like the people, teacher tells you, someone you idolize, and they're like, big feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that it's always neat. They always say, what is the saying? Is like, never meet your idols. But I think for you, it's like idols, and then they work with you and do stuff for your book. I think you're totally destroying that myth about meeting and working with your idols. They're actually it's actually really good because they're contributing to your book. But yeah, there's one other thing here that I wanted to talk about, which was we alluded to it when here it is. We alluded to this when we were showing some of your art, your origin story, and these are the prints where you did you talked to other creators,
right,
and you drew one of their IPs with your IP, and I think this is a really cool thing. This just adds to like just the cool factor in terms of like putting your character with another indie or another creator. And of course, we talked about the Muka influence in here. So this is definitely one of those things. It's like it says here, printed to order. They will not be reprinted. Spot foil on each print. Each set comes with a certificate of authenticity. So aside from buying the anthology and the book, it's like take advantage of the people. You get to see collaborations between Christian and really cool artists that you may have heard of, and I think it's really, really neat that you got Bart Sears and Smith to do covers for you, and then you get to do interpretations of other characters. I think that's such a neat thing to do. It allows or like to show homage to some of the creators that you admire, and then pair them up with your own creations. I mean, it's like if you got to invent this sandbox, this play box that you want to have all your characters have fun in, and then you invite other characters from other creators that you love and put them together. I think that's just really, really cool. But this Kickstarter, like Ed, go ahead. You were saying
these are all on those prints, those that they've done Kickstarters for recent. And when I put it together, to do something with these, my character with one of theirs, and cross promote all of us together, and it wasn't until I was done with each one, subconsciously done, one of their guys up with, and I said that's they're all males. Well, the Chenu, we don't really know if that's, but it was in a female character from my and I said that was,
yes,
no, but it just happened to be that way.
We're gonna call that a happy accident. That was just a kind of like a subconscious thing that happened, and then you look at it, it's like, oh, it's very, very balanced. You got a male and female character. As we will wonder what who if this is a dude or a chick, I don't know, but if anything, it's
they're holding,
it's a very interesting composition.
Their hand back, so
Okay. He's resisting. He's resisting. It's like, hey, gotta control myself. But very very cool. I want everybody to, like I said, there's the link to this is in or there in the bottom. This is how you can support Christian. Let's get him to his $3,000 goal. We got 29 days, plenty of time. Tremendous artwork here. Christian, you want to like talk a little bit? This is like, you want to give a kind of like a percentage in terms of like how far along this is to completion, and I don't know if you have, if this, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this will get funded in 29 days. Once it is funded, can you kind of give a kind of like a loose idea in terms of like when, if somebody were to back this, when they would actually be able to have the physical rewards in their hands? Do you have a date that you can kind of share?
Kickstarter is, they ask you for your of 2023. Stopping that from happening. A majority of the work was done. I'm basically the artist, or the inker, the letterer.
Author. You're you're the author.
But I have a great cast of colorists. Starter page. I credited them on the Kickstarter page. They gave variant covers them, and they're really great to work with. They've done great jobs, and I definitely look forward to working with them again. Like I said, what's left right now? I've started. The lettering is there relatively quickly, since all the writing is. So that stories that need to be colored. Still, like I said, I outsourced the people here, and they've been really good with deadline. So I don't have being an issue. And what I have to do while those things are out to be colored, the writing, the stories to be colored, and then I have some of the, like a couple of, the card set needs to be colored. And there's also a tile set that comes shots of the characters that comes with the those have to be colored, but they're all drawn. There was a couple of exclusives for us 21. Well, if they 21 people that are going to be receiving digital postcards from the C.O.U. universe, exclusive collector card. That artwork is done. It's all odds and ends. Like there's a the Parasidio planet from it basically just the places on it need to be labeled, but the drawing and the color. So there's really also, as far as to print and so many different aspects. Like there's a box set, there's prints that are going to need to be tubed, and that some print houses don't do. So where I'm getting them done,
yes,
I know what the turnarounds are. I've told as to how are you looking? What's the turnaround rate? I've been trying to keep on top of that. Basically have the footwork on that done, and I've even looked into trying to get it all into the bigger places that I'm dealing with from package that in one location. That looks
right.
Like that's going to be, barring any.
So we're looking.
I think we're still looking at maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry, it dropped out. What was What was
Oh.
your estimate?
March
Uh-huh.
2023 looks like it's beat that.
Yeah, that's what I.
So
Yeah, I think especially with this day and age, obviously there's always been there's like a printing shortage, there's a paper shortage, and costs are always
yeah,
going up when it comes to shipping. But it's always nice to like have an anticipated like delivery date. So I think spring 2023. I think that's realistic, and I think it's great to be
yeah,
transparent and sort of say, hey, this is where we're at with it, and this is when you can kind of expect it. But it's the way that I look at it, it's going to be worth the wait. You've definitely come up with some really cool characters, and the story sounds intriguing. And it's not just one story; it's actually 6 that are in the anthology, and there's the actual main comic, which is Aaron and Addicts. So lots of good storytelling, and that anthology I think is like what the comic is like 30 plus pages, and the anthology is 72 pages. So there's
yeah,
lots of good story. You're gonna get a lot of meat on meat and potatoes with this project. And then of course there was all those rewards that are on top of that. With those prints, those crossover prints, and all the alternate covers, the sketch covers. Lots of really good things to look at. So again, go to Kickstarter. You can see it below there. There's the short link to it. But if you want to just go to Kickstarter and type in the C.O.U. Big Bang Moment, or type in Christian Zaffo as the creator, you'll be able to find this campaign. 29 days to go. 9 backers, $381 of a $3,000 goal. Completely doable. This can happen. Make it a reality. This is a culmination of Christian's creativity from like when he was 13 years old to where he is right now. It'd be great to see this become a reality, and by doing that you can go and support him that way. So that being said, let's go to. I wanted to show one other thing here. So let me go back to showing a PDF. Hold on one moment, and let me get to that real quick. So we share screen. I'm gonna go back to the PDF. I'm gonna do my best to like further entice our audience to support this campaign by showing you some additional pages that are in the book. Christian assured me that these are non-spoiler pages, but there is a caveat, or there is a disclaimer. These are so fresh off the artist digital tablet that it doesn't have the lettering yet. So, but this is I would like you to I would like to point out is that good sequential storytelling, the lettering and the extra the word bubbles and things like that, that'll obviously flesh out the story more in depth. But good sequential storytelling, if it's done right, you don't need to have those word bubbles yet and lettering. You can get the gist of it. You'll be able to deduce what's going on if the sequentials are strong. And I'm just gonna let you guys decide from it. You're gonna look at these sequentials and tell me if you can kind of get a feel for what's going on. Because to me, on the strength of the panels, you do get a sense of what's going on before the letters get in there. And I can tell you, once the letters go in there, it's gonna be just that complete sequential page. But here, let's just flip through these things. And what I want to point out is also that Christian does a great, as I'm going to say that as Christian as a study as a student of the comic page, because we have lots in common in terms of our age and how our influences, and of course the books that we grew up with. So we've seen a lot of comic pages, a lot of panels, and I look at these panels, and you show. Not only doing typical vertical and horizontal line panels, but you also do things that break out of those panels and also do these really neat shapes. And I think one of them is like here, this was something as simple as the diagonal with a lettering panel that goes across it. But and you actually have the figure here breaking out of the panel, which actually further demonstrates him kind of like hanging from the ceiling and coming down. I think that was a really brilliant way of doing that. But this is one of my favorite ones that you did. It's so atypical of a comic page. There's it's panels that are they're polygons, but they're not strict horizontals and verticals. You know, there and you even break it down at the bottom with like these really ragged edged, a ragged edged panel. And I think this is really really neat in terms of how you compose the shot. And then here, even when you are using horizontals and verticals, you overlap them too. And I think that's a kind of a neat way of bringing some depth and volume to the panels, aside from what's inside the panels, the art that's in there. But yeah, some really cool things. Here's a really neat one too. Breaks all the conventions. Even the last panel there, it's like wavy lines. It's like really, really different from what I'm used to seeing in typical sequential pages. So that actually, there's art in sequential panels too. I think how you arrange the panels, how you tell the I mean, every panel is almost like a little mini piece of art, but then when you frame it and how you move it on a page, that in itself is a challenge, and it takes a lot of talent to tell a story with sequential panels on a page. So very very cool. I just wanted I wanted to tease this because this is what you can expect for the quality of artwork that you're gonna get when you support the C.O.U. project, the Big Bang moment, the C.O.U. the Chosen One universe. So very very cool artwork here. And yeah, I hope you guys are eating this up because I want you guys all to just enjoy this and want to support Christian with his book. I really like this one too. I like the seated pose there. It has a I grew up also. I mean, I love Star Wars, but I also love Star Trek, and this had that Captain Kirk vibe to it. But of course, it's not Captain Kirk in the captain's chair. It's a female character here. I think it's really neat. I like how you have the control boards there. Before we go on to the next thing, did you want to talk a little bit about this particular page?
Well,
what this story is about.
This is I was talking about earlier that takes place out from Earth to find a new Odin the journey, and this is the shot for that story, the first page. It's funny. I was growing up, but I've watched the movies came out with was it like Wrath of Khan, and this here, when I sat down to draw the bridge of this space, a little bit of control panels on either side, the surroundings, but that I got from he was in captain of his and that scene, the throne backlit dark with
yes.
And that was that I had when I was like trying to this bridge scene in the establishing shot.
Yeah,
and
I get some.
It's fitting.
Keep on going.
This is the main bad guy or woman. This is the this story. The one that's going in characters.
Yeah, I have to tell you that I got so many feels looking at this because especially the way the control panels were in the background, it made me think of everything from like if you remember the classic 80s sci-fi The Black Hole. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes.
Or everything like Doctor Who from 80s, like inside the TARDIS. I don't know, I just something about it, even the way that you drew all the little control switches. I mean, it made me think of like all these great sci-fi things that I grew up with in the 80s. It had enough these nostalgic vibes that really made me think, oh, this is just really neat. I found myself looking at the background just as much as I was looking at the foreground because I like the gesture of her. How this particular villainess is sitting on her throne command chair. And I liked how like the monitors were all like kind of like hanging they're all like kind of suspended, and then there's like the space background behind it. So it was a really cool composition that you came up here. It really brought back some nice childhood memories in terms of like watching sci-fi shows from the 80s. Right, so I was a pretty good sell. I think if I think people really got to go out there and support the C.O.U. Big Bang Moment, the Chosen One universe, because you're gonna get stories like this. You're gonna get art like this. So very, very cool. All right, so let's.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think it's something that it's well deserved, and I think that you worked really hard at this, and I want people to see the fruits of your labor here. So let's talk the future, Christian. Let's talk about where you see yourself in like 5 years, where you see yourself in 10 years. What is the plan for the C.O.U. Universe? Like, where do you see yourself going? So let's talk about the future. So if you have a moment, let's hear what you have to say. What do you see yourself doing?
Moving forward from here in the positive direction, see this old and really become something big. And I want to become a publisher, basically, of comics. Like, my comics, they expand and expose people to writers and artists. In a way, it hasn't really happened before. In the past, especially people break away and turn into their own. We're creator owned and everything, but the big names just seem to keep getting fed that option. Like, we're bringing in big names. We're not bringing big. And that's great if you're already established yourself. What about them? How are they breaking into the company? So I would like to, to be a company a publishing company that was, at least give them legitimately vie for that, to put a book out there.
Yeah.
We're going to take submissions.
Yeah, basically
we're just putting in there.
Basically being that publishing arm for indies that isn't there right now. Kind of like you want to be able to take people under your wing, kind of like get them to not only help you do, like maybe potentially help you tell your story, but tell their stories and have their titles, IPs under your publishing. Is that what you're thinking about doing? Is that yeah, okay.
Because you can't your own thing was always a good idea, and the big publishers would bring you in a new person with no background, but they would vigil. They wouldn't pay him right. They bring him in for a few issues and let him go. There was no, and they had no option to do their own. Got away with having Marvel selling something to them and having this.
Yeah.
Like Rob with obviously one of the biggest stories, but again, how often do you see that? And then in the create their own stuff, I'm one that's maybe not as big as them, established name most of the time, because they want to make money too, and but I think it's new to work on books that are whatever, and at the same time, hey, if you got something you want to show me, and maybe finding you still create or own it, or you and like everything, but you having a job, you have the ability to create, or it's writing or whatever, and I saw a publisher in the industry to be like, be fair to them one aspect, then do it the other way. It's just something's got to give. I don't think everybody eventually. There's no organization. I love it. I'm doing it now. But it has to be something that hasn't been discovered yet, and make it stream open to people to have the same options, and hopefully put myself in a better position to help out and see where it goes.
I love that about what you just said, because if that question had been posed to anybody, whether they're a guest on my show, or like, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, the response is, obviously I said, like, where do you see yourself? And I just like the way that your response wasn't centered just around yourself. You actually gave a bigger future story, and saying that not only, I would love, you would love to see your own IP reach new levels, but you also saw yourself as being that helping hand, that person that was going to be a conduit or a resource for potential talent, that maybe just needs to get a leg up, or a way to some sort of industry. If it's the indie industry, to get their artwork out there, and potentially even get their own IP out under you. And then you also talking about it from being very fair about it, and being, it's still creator owned, but you're also going to be able to give them an opportunity to work under you, and you're going to get published. So I think that's really great. That just goes to show, it's like, people that are in any industry, in the indie comics industry, is no exception. There are those outliers. There's people like you that are not just out there to promote themselves, but also help promote others. I think that's really cool about the indie community. Right. Is the vast majority of the indie community is very helpful to other indie creators, and that's why the support of fans of indie books, myself being somebody that's a big fan of you guys and what you're putting out there, I find it so refreshing, because I feel like you can connect with that creator. You can talk to them. How often can you? Well, I guess with you're an exception. You've been able to talk to your idols, and stuff like that are in the big industry. But it's like, 13-year-old you and me. It's like, would we have ever thought that we would have been able to talk to the artists that were working on the books, that we were reading? And I have to say that it must be such a thrill to be that 13-year-old person that you were, that aspiring budding artist, and here we are in our 40s, and you're working with Bart Sears, you're working with Andy Smith, and you're doing your own book, and soon in 2023 you're going to be able to hold that in your hands and put your book on the same shelf as all those other artists and books that you admire. I think that is such a empowering, trippy feeling that I'm having right now. I'm not even you, but I'm like reveling in your success that I think that you're going to have in 2023. And this Kickstarter campaign, I think I'm going to say it's going to get funded. We got 29 days to make it happen. So that being said, we're winding down the show. Can you believe it's been almost 3 hours? Of course, we had some technical difficulties, and the audio is still a little spotty, but I think we were able to successfully tell your story. But as we get to the last part of the show, this is where we get to the part which is called the Oscar speech. And Oscar speech has gotten a bad rap because of a certain Will Smith. But do not worry, there is no slapping that's happening in this in Comics Cast. Let it out. That is not the case. In fact, it's just a fancy way of us saying that this is where I give the guest of the show to give their final thoughts, and of course any thank yous that they want to give. So I'm going to give the mic back to you. I'm going to solo out the screen and make it really big, and going to let you give your Oscar speech. All right? So mic is in your hands. I'm going to maximize the screen right now. You go ahead and let her rip.
Well, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? I'd like to thank um, you friends. This is just going, and it's really exciting to me. I just hope that and uh, and back very and looking at, and hopefully it's up to maybe an earlier time, or uh, I don't know really. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
for me. It's something I always wanted, and I just want to has contributed. You know, my wife, um, my father, God rest his soul. It's just been huge, to get to this point, and all the people that contributed to the build. I mean, you know, the artwork, cover artists. Just it's been such a up to be to be doing this, and I hope to be doing this for you. Because as long as you guys, and thank you.
Mm. All right, a great Oscar speech. In fact, I can't help but get a little misty-eyed because you shared with me a story yesterday. You mentioned in your thank yous you wanted to thank your father, and yes, God rest his soul. My condolences to you because you mentioned to me that this is a recent thing. He passed away. What was it? Less than 2 weeks ago, or it's still very
No,
fresh.
it's
But
been a little less than 2 months.
oh, 2 months, a little less. Oh, I was thinking
A
two
little
weeks.
less.
2 months. It's been 2 months. Yeah, a little less than 2 months. And you know, I as a coping mechanism for me, 2022 has been kind of rough. I've like you, I've we, I think a lot of people over the pandemic have lost people that we've loved, and uh, for you to lose your father, I'm sure that left a tremendous hole in your chest, with his passing. But you shared with me this, and I'm gonna do another share real quick here. So let me pull this up real quick, and I because there is nothing more lasting tribute and to show a collaboration between father and son than what I'm going to share right here. So let me share this right now. And this, when I heard this story, like it just touched me, and I couldn't help. Like I said, I couldn't help but get misty eyed. Um, uh, we mentioned in the at the very beginning in the origin story the artistic pedigree that Christian comes from. He has a grandfather who was an artist. He had a father who was an artist. Now they weren't comic artists. They were portrait artists. They were fine artists. And well, I'm gonna have to say is like comic art is fine art too. I'm gonna go ahead and say that too. But they were different. They did different art. It wasn't comic art. Um, but I'm gonna say that Christian's dad he recognized Christian's passion, and when Christian took this endeavor to make the C.O.U. the Chosen One universe a reality and take on the artwork, um, you told me that your dad wanted to help, and him being
Yeah.
the kind of traditional artist that he was, is that he didn't even know how to really do digital art, but he picked up digital art
Yeah.
just because he wanted to help you out. And there was a result. Now, like he has passed away, but in this sense, he is eternal, because we get to see artwork that speaks from uh, beyond his passing, and he's contributing to this book. So these are 2 pages that that are in the book that Christian's dad actually colored. That's amazing. So he's helping his son from beyond. Do you want to talk a little bit about this and talk about your dad? I'd love to hear any story that you want to
Yeah,
share.
I told him what I was doing, but I was into comics my whole life, and I started showing him some pages, and interested he was looking at it, and I had asked him, and I saw more interested, and it I said, well, he asked me what's next, for the artwork done. He goes, what's next? I said, I'm not really great with digital coloring, so I want this to color this project. Did it that. He left it at that for that, and now, unbeknownst to me, went and schooled himself on how to shop.
Amazing. That's not easy. It's not an easy program to learn. Yeah. Uh-huh.
He goes, can you send me some of those pages? I want to mess around. He didn't say I wanted to color them for you or do anything.
Uh-huh.
And he sent really nice. He goes, yeah, I want to help you. Okay. And I said, yeah. And like 3 pages that he started, the follow-up pages that I have someone else do their version as I finished, but I still have those of the half-done pages.
Yeah.
And he started coloring those 3 pages while he was doing that. He had and that was over a year. He was back into things, and then unfortunately, what happened. So now, in as it is, and how I kind of used it as a inspiration to now get it finished.
Yes.
You could think like, yeah, that's what he would want. Mm-hmm. So it was a motivational thing.
Yeah, I had to say that it definitely impacted me. It touched my heart, and what a lasting tribute. And I'm sure that when this is published, I'm sure there'll be a page in there that you will dedicate to him and let him know it's like, hey, Dad, look at what we did. We finished this, and here's actually a page that you colored, and that's gonna be there. Yeah, I'm choking up on right now. I'm trying to contain my emotions here because I think it's really it's a beautiful thing. I don't know. I just got to know you. I didn't get the chance to meet your father, but I see that he was able to work with you and help you with your dream and do these couple pages, and color them for you. So tremendous. So let me stop sharing this screen. So wow, I'm gonna try and get myself together here. It's like what we do and what we try and do we end every show talking about a charity group that Comics Cast is I mean we're friends with, but we're not financially tied to, but we like to bring awareness to them. And that particular group is, let me pull that up right now, share screen, is, drum roll please, is Golden Fight. So Golden Fight, let me pop up their very easy URL to remember, and that is here, just goldenfight.org. Like I said, it is a charity organization, an organization would like to say that is small enough at the same time. Small enough in the sense that they are not like international, they're not national. They actually are in a very focused area in the Mid-Atlantic region. And what they are huge, what they're about is they are a charity organization that raises for families who have kids that are dealing with really difficult illnesses like cancer. So when the parents of these children are focusing on the healing of their child, they will inevitably experience financial difficulties, and that's where Golden Fight comes in. This is where they come in, and they come in a big, huge way. They raise money so that when those parents have those financial difficulties, they are able to give that money to them. And that money, I was thinking that it was like 97, 98% of that would be given to the parents, and maybe that very nominal amount, like a 1 or 2%, 3%, would go towards like the administrative costs that any charity organization would have to incur. But I was wrong. 100% of the money they raise goes to these families. That means the leadership, anybody that works Golden Fight or for Golden Fight, they do it on a volunteer basis. They do it out of the kindness of their hearts because they know how trying the situation can be, because they've either had family members that are going through a similar situation with a sick child. Maybe they've had a sick child. They know of somebody, and they know that that what they do is going towards helping those parents cope with those situations so that they can focus on getting their child healed. So if you are interested in checking out a really reputable 100% above board charity, please consider goldenfight.org. And if you within your means and you would like to send your charity to a particular group, consider Golden Fight. Great organization, and we would just like people to be aware of them. All right, so let me stop sharing, get this out of the way. And I wanted to do this one more time. This is how you can follow Christian on Facebook, at his own website, on Twitter. This is how you can get all the lowdown, the news about whatever he's doing, the progress reports on any of the artwork that he's doing. If you can maybe commission him, if you love his artwork, I'm sure that he wouldn't mind, between doing all the work on his Kickstarter. Who knows? He might be able to do some sketch covers for you. Maybe do some commission work. Maybe do some character designs, because you got to see some really phenomenal character design examples when we were doing the Orton story. And so I want everybody to go there. Not yet, just yet, but I also want people to check this out. I'm gonna pop this up again. We got what was the number? I want to go ahead and say 29 days. 29 days to support the C.O.U. Big Bang Moment project on Kickstarter. It is not just a 30-plus page comic. It's also a 72-plus page anthology, which has 6 stories. So you have 7 stories of Christian creativity that is just waiting to be unleashed on the world. You get to see all these, like if you're my age, if you're his age, and you grew up with the 80s comics, the 90s comics, all the way to 2000. If you just love comics and you are our age group, you're gonna see all of those influences, all of those things, all combined into one. You're going to see just a love letter to all of those type of things. It's been my pleasure to let get the word out here. Oh, it was my honor. So go support this Kickstarter. Go support Christian. If you are watching this on demand, I encourage you to draw and do his 2 characters, his Aaron and Addict's characters, and within the Facebook page you can post the artwork even though the show is over, and just make sure you tag Christian, or you tag me. If you don't tag him, I will let him know that the artwork is there. I'm sure that he would love to see fan art for his his project.
That'd be great.
Before so that, I think it'll be really cool. Shoot, I had something on the tip of my tongue that I wanted to say, but it left my brain. That's what getting old sucks. It's like, don't forget to say this, Gerald. And as soon as we were talking, I totally forgot. So,
well, I'm gonna.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. Yes. That's what I wanted to remember. I think we're on the same page. So if this isn't what you had in mind, make sure you remind me. But this is what I want. We had just talked about Golden Fight. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, good. Okay, all right. We had just talking about Golden Fight, and yesterday I whenever I do my pre-show with my guests, I let them know how the format of the show is going to be, and I always mention that we will mention our charity partner Golden Fight, and Christian being the just the stellar individual that he is, charitable beyond belief. I told him about Golden Fight, and I told him that this is. I just want our guests to aware that they don't have to feel like we want to bring awareness to this organization, but I don't want our guests to feel compelled like they need to do anything about it. It's just I just want to let them know it's an FYI, so they don't feel uncomfortable that I mentioned that at the end. But this is the thing. Christian didn't feel uncomfortable. In fact, he felt like tremendously generous, and he had told me that the artwork, the Aaron and Addicts drawing that we did live today. Of course, it was in its first stage. We got to see that in your origin story. I showed the progression where you had your loose thumbnail, your loose pencils, your tighter pencils, your final inks, and then your colors. So right now, this is still in its very early stages, but Christian has said that he would like to donate that artwork to the Golden Fight cause. So when that is completed, and I told him not to rush it, take your time with it because you got your Kickstarter to worry about. But I'm going to say that sometime in 2023. So just know that this is going to happen next year. When he finishes that illustration, he's going to send that to me. He's going to donate that to Comics Cast, Let It Out, to us, so that it can be used. We're going to probably try and do maybe like some sort of fundraiser where we can maybe offer some artwork from our guests, or like maybe if I draw something or my partner draws things, or if we get other creators to do this, to come up with some donated artwork fundraiser where we can help raise money for Golden Fight. So I wanted to say thank you, Christian. And I think that when I had my little brain fart moment, I think you sent it to me out, Jean Grey mental telepathy, Professor X style, from New York all the way to Virginia, so that I would remember that thing that we had talked about. So from my bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to you, Christian, for doing that. It is awesome. So when you're ready to complete that artwork, when you're finished with that artwork, we're friends now on Facebook. You've been my guest. You're part of the Comics Let It Out family. You just let me know about that artwork, and we'll be happy to show it on our page. Tag you, of course. Put it on Facebook, Instagram, all of our social media. And then, of course, include that in terms of raising money for Golden Fight. So thank you so much. That means a lot to me. All right. So didn't I tell you, Christian, we would have so much to talk about that we would easily get past the 3-hour mark. And I tell you the truth, I've been trying very hard to not go to 3 hours, because honestly, I could actually go to 4 hours. When I talk to, but I realize that I can't monopolize your time and our guests, and of course you, our audience, and of course you have other things that you need to do on a Sunday. So I appreciate you giving me your time to tell your story to our audience, and I hope that it will get you legions of fans, and we can help move the needle and get your crowdfunding supported. So that being said, this is another edition of Comics Cast Let It Out. We are so happy that if you stayed here till the end, to hear that final announcement, we thank you, and stay tuned for another edition of Comics Cast coming at you. Next weekend, it's a little bit iffy in terms of I need to work out a few things, but hopefully there'll be one next weekend. We are going into the holiday season, so might be traveling, having guests, so we're going to be winding down, and we may not be doing a full slot every weekend going into the new year. We may start seeing stuff happening in 2023, but I'm ready for 2023. It's going to be a great new year. 2022 is definitely we took our licks. We got kicked down a little bit. We all experienced some tragedies and some triumphs, and today was a triumph. Thank you, Christian, for being my guest, and I will see you
so
on
much.
the next Comics Cast. Yeah, no problem. Comics Cast, let it out. Signing out. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Take care.